Hey everybody, Bearded Rogue, and this video I'm going to talk about design stuff. So if you don't want to hear about design stuff, you can watch my haul video or you can watch my Origins welcome video that I've already posted. But this one's going to be all about design stuff, and it's something that's very near and dear and important to me personally, and so I want to share it with all of you guys who are interested in any of the design things. So the first thing I want to share is this right here. This is from 1000XP and Scout Books. Scout Books is a maker of little notebook type dealies who's based in Portland, and 1000XP is a game company known for The Last Garden, which will be coming soon. Its Kickstarter completed successfully, but also the NPC podcast, NPC cast, specifically Chris Rollins, Maddie Christensen, and more. But Chris was at Origins. It was his first Origins, and he was handing these out to designers. These are freaking amazing, guys. Having something like this, that's this tiny, that you can write your notes in is phenomenal. You can number them, date them, give them a name. Each page, I'm not going to show you guys any of my particular notes, but each page has like a start and end time that you can record. They have the number of players. They have your goal in playtesting, which you should always have a goal when you're playtesting. The lines are actually dots, so you can use them both as grid paper and as lined paper, which is really convenient if, say, I said I wasn't going to show you, but say you want to draw a chart inside of it, or you just want to record text, you can do that too. These are amazing. I think they're going to be selling them at some point in the future. But they're really, really good. Scout Books did a fantastic job with these. I know they're looking to get them out into the public, and 1000XP went ahead and took that jump and made the leap to start it. And I'm so glad that I got one. It's fantastic. I see myself using it a whole bunch, and I'm probably going to get more. I guess they originally got the inspiration for this from Daniel Newman. Shout out to Daniel, who always has Scout Books type notebooks with all of his prototypes so he can record his notes. Chris and Maddie and the 1000XP guys just took that idea one step further and made playtest journals be an actual thing. So yeah, awesome, awesome thing for the design community. Expect to see these everywhere. Next, the Unpub Room. That's right, there was an Unpub Room at Origins. It was fantastic. It was an entire room dedicated to nothing but prototypes. It worked just like Unpub, where people could reserve table slots, and they could then demo their game for that whole slot, and players would come in and sit down and play their prototypes and give them feedback. And then after hours, it was free-for-all prototyping for everybody. It was amazing. I love the Unpub Room. I think it's the greatest addition to Origins. It gave them a place for the publisher speed dating to take place that wasn't a little hole in the wall. It gave them a place where designers knew to meet. It was a place where people could pitch to publishers without having to fight for tables in the main hall. It was just overall a fantastic addition. It was very well run and very well handled, the whole convention. I did not get any table time. I was actually working in a booth and then spending the rest of my time pitching and playing other people's prototypes. But from the people who were in there, I hear that it was very useful and very beneficial to them. So I'm really glad that that's there, and I look forward to seeing that continue at Origins going forward. So, let's talk about prototypes, shall we? Let's talk about what I played. So, I played a ton of prototypes. I only played 3 published games the entire time I was at Origins. And had I had my druthers, I probably would have played fewer than that. I would have guaranteedly played 1, because there was one game that I was demoing in the booth that I was working at. But if I could have narrowed it down to just that and prototypes, I would have been very, very happy with my convention. So let's start talking about prototypes, shall we? So, first prototype on my list is The Library is Burning by James Meyer. James and I met each other at Unpub earlier this year. We both have games about libraries burning, so we decided to play each other's games. We both greatly enjoyed each other's games. Since Unpub, we've both refined our games and fine-tuned our games, and we played them again at Origins, and both of them are much better games than they were at Unpub. James's game is fantastic. I love it. It's a face-up draft game where you are drafting the various books, and the books all have categories and nationalities, and you use your expertise in those nationalities and or categories of book, like math and science. I think it's physics in his game, and literature, those sort of things, to make future progress on those types of books easier. There's a bit of a set collection thing where you have goals of which types of books you particularly care about saving, and it's really, really fun. It's a little engine builder-y game. I think it's very, very clever. I expect it to be picked up pretty soon. I don't know who exactly will pick it up. I don't know who all he's pitched to, but I had a really good time with it. So if you hear anything about The Library is Burning, I highly suggest that you give it a shot, because I think it's a great game already, and a publisher picking it up and giving it a little development love is going to turn it into a phenomenal game. It also helps that I'm really, really into the theme. Library of Alexandria is a big thing for me, and so it's cool to see another game with a totally different mechanism than my own that uses the same kind of theme. So, way to go, James. It was awesome playing your game and hanging out with you. Next, Daniel Newman. I already mentioned Daniel once when talking about the advent of the playtest journals. Daniel and I have known each other now for a little over a year, and we've seen each other at multiple conventions, BGG-Con, Unpub, Origins. We've hung out together. I've done some development work on some of his games. He's given me a lot of advice on my games. We've playtested each other's games in various states. But there were a whole bunch of Daniel's games that I hadn't playtested. I played some of Daniel's games a whole bunch, and most of Daniel's games not nearly enough. So I made it my goal to try to play all of his games at Origins. I failed in doing so. I still haven't played Step Right Up in its newest incarnation. I did play it at BGG-Con, so I can't say that I've never played it, but I understand that it's, design and development changes, and BGG-Con was, a lifetime ago in the life of a game. So I played Titan Station, Enemy Anemone, Jesus, Dead Man's Party, and Dice of Augustus. While I was there, Dice of Augustus is his roll and write take on Rise of Augustus, which is a very fun gamer bingo, and Dice of Augustus seemed to fit right in. I know it's going to need some more refinement, and we played it at the Nerd Night event, and it was very loud, and there was all sorts of other things competing for our attention, and we were kind of jerks while he was explaining it to us, but it was a really good take on the game. I think it captured the mechanisms of the base game and just needs a little bit of fine-tuning to really be it. Let's see. Enemy Anemone, other than a game that with a title that a lot of people can't pronounce or that other people really love to pronounce over and over again, was a neat little spatial game. You're moving your aquatic creatures around to gather fish, which are worth points, and to gather points, which are worth points, all the while trying to block other people's paths using your anemones, which you're able to go through, but other people are not. It has a bit of a Suro vibe to it, and then it has the pathways on its tiles that you follow along, and it has an interesting mechanism where everybody plays a card, and whoever plays the highest card gets to reposition a tile and move. Anybody in the middle gets to just move, and then the person at the end doesn't move, but they get to place a blocking token out on the board that stops people on later rounds. And also, all of those blocking tokens are worth negative points if you hang on to them, so sometimes you want to go last so that you can get them out of your pool. It's a very interesting concept, pretty fun game. I think it's still in the refinement stage. I enjoyed my play of it, although playing with 5 players, maybe that's not the right answer. I don't know. It was really fun, though, and I look forward to seeing more about that one. Titan Station was Daniel's first game. It's a worker placement game that involved some interesting set collection type mechanisms, wherein you had to have your workers in various locations in order to fulfill goal cards, and then those goal cards, you completed a certain number of them, and then you scored points based on that, and the game would end, and blah blah blah. You get the picture. It was his first game design. I loved it. Out of all of the games of his that I've played, it kind of spoke to me the most, mechanism-wise. It's very much in my wheelhouse as far as weight of game and the way it works. It helps that I totally crushed at it. But I understand it's going to be shelved here for a while, maybe indefinitely. Simply because it's had its rounds pitched to publishers. It doesn't meet current publisher demand, and so even though I really love the design, it's probably gonna disappear for a little while. I really enjoyed it though, and thanks for letting me get a chance to play it, Daniel, before you shelved it. The last one was Dead Man's Party, and Dead Man's Party is a really freaking cool game. It is a bit Feldian in its nature. It's got a little bit of point salad-iness to it. Its theme is totally awesome. You're a lonely necromancer, so what do necromancers do to fix loneliness? They, you know, resurrect corpses and hold parties. I mean, why not? What else are you going to do? So it's a really cool game. The overall mechanism for how actions are selected is really cool. You draw a skull token from a bag, and there are 4 rows of 4 skulls. You slide yours in the end of one and push another token out. That token you get to keep, and then all of the tokens that you have in front of you, you get to select one to cash in to take a particular action. And then one of the rows, or one of the columns in the 4 rows, you look at which skull color dominates in there, and that indicates what action everybody around the table gets to take. So it has this interesting dual planning, because you have to not only push so that you get the color of skull that you want to get for later rounds out of it, but you also have to determine what action you're giving everybody else, and what actions you want to take later on in the game. And then all of the actions do different things. Some of them let you complete rituals, some of them let you take rituals, some of them let you change the amount of points things are worth in the game, specifically for you. Some of them give you little bonus tokens that you can use in rituals to earn additional points, and there's a little like grid mechanism that you can score. It's a really clever game. There's lots of interlocking little pieces that go together really well. At this point, I think it's just playtest the crap out of it, and you'll have a very finished, very clever, very uniquely themed game. I really enjoyed my play of Dead Man's Party, so yeah, big thumbs up for Dead Man's Party. I expect to see more of this going around. I know Daniel is just starting to pitch it and just starting to put it in front of people, and I think he's well right to do so. It's a great game. Next, my co-designer, John Prather. John and I work on a lot of games together. He's my co-designer on Back to Earth, Taco Trucks, various other games, but this one was one of his own called 4x4, and it's got this very clever mechanism in it wherein you are playing cards to a grid. It's not a fixed grid. The players actually determine the edges of the grid as they're playing the cards, but each one of the cards gives you a resource, and you gain resources equal to the number of cards in the row or column that you play it in that do not match what you currently have. So each card has a resource and a terrain type, and your goal is to not match either so that you can get the largest quantity of resources, and then you use those resources to build buildings which increase your engine, and etc., etc. Really cool game. It's still in its early stages. I know John played it a lot over Origins weekend, and I'm pretty sure he got some feedback on which direction to take it. The grid mechanism is super clever as a resource generation system, and I really look forward to seeing where it goes. Since we co-design on so many things, I'm going to be able to follow this one really closely, and I plan on doing so. Really, really fun game, and I think we can. I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about it. Maybe not under that title, but definitely in the future. Next, let's go to Sector 3D6 from Chris Rowlands at 1000XP. Sector 3D6 is his design for the Gen Can't Roll and Write contest. It's a really clever little game wherein you use the dice to determine how your ship moves around the galaxy and whether or not you discover planets and what kind of upgrades to technology you make and everything. It was a really neat little game where you're moving around a dotted grid, conveniently, and the face of the dice do different things. The one lets you draw one line, either one straight line, either horizontally or vertically from where you're at. The two is the one is upgrade tech. The two is a single segment, a single line segment. The three is two line segments. You have to think about it. The three is three dots that gives you two lines. The 4 lets you draw an L shape, right angle. The 5 lets you draw a diagonal, and then the 6 teleports you around the map. And you're trying to discover various planets, which happen when any two of the 3 dice are doubles. You're upgrading your technology for victory points, or to make particular types of planets worth more, or to give you more control over the dice, let you re-roll, that sort of thing. Really clever little game, really fun, easy to play solo, but we played it with a larger group of people and compared scores. It was pretty fun. I really liked it. It had a very interesting spatial aspect that I don't see in a lot of roll and writes. A lot of roll and writes are, check the boxes or fill in the squares or whatever. This one had a very interesting spatial element to it that I didn't see in others, and it was pretty cool. I don't know how well it will do in the contest, but it's definitely further along than my design is, which will not be entered. Just looking at designing a roll and write was interesting, and seeing what I could see. We'll see if any of the stuff from my roll and write makes its way into anything else, or if I end up picking it up and re-refining it. But the roll and write contest is a really cool thing for designers. Any kind of contest is a really cool thing for designers, and Chris had a really interesting take on it that I really appreciated. Let's see, next I played Swing State from Ian Zang. Ian's my podcast co-host, along with Gil, and Swing State was a very interesting blind auction game. I really like a lot of this game. The mechanisms in it are very, very interesting. There are a few things that I might change were it my game, and I think Ian may be either shelving it or looking at redoing it, but there's a lot to like inside of this game. I'm not usually a fan of auction-y type games, but this is being blind bidding, and all of the things you're bidding on having particular powers based on whether you won the bid or you were second most, creates a lot of clever little things that happen between players. There's a lot of emergent gameplay inside of it with a very simple mechanism that anybody can understand. There are 5 things on the table. Each of them have special abilities if you win them or if you get second place in them. Now everybody has this many bids. The weirdest thing about the game were the cards with special powers that were separate from that, and I don't think that they were bad. Some of them were wildly imbalanced. Ian knew that going into the game, but I think with a little bit of refinement, this one really could be something. I really liked it. I say that about these prototypes, but I love playing prototypes. I especially love seeing the potential that a game has, and this one I think has a lot of potential, though it's not as far along as some of the others. Speaking of games that are far along, so the next four, the final four that I'm going to talk about, are really, really good, and basically ready for prime time, as far as I'm concerned. So the first one I'm going to talk about is BattleCats by Gary Chavez. Gary is a Cincinnati designer, and BattleCats is a deck-building game wherein all of the players are building the same deck. The difference is that this is a competitive game, and so you are trying to have more control of the deck than everybody else. You want more of your cards in it, you want your more powerful cards to be in it than everybody else. You play a certain number of rounds, whoever has the most victory points wins. Really, really clever game. I've never played a game like it. I've played it in multiple stages of its development, and every time I play it, it gets better. I would not at all be surprised if this one gets picked up by a publisher, but even if it doesn't, I think Gary intends to get this one out there himself, if it comes down to that. It's good. It's definitely good. Just like a few tweaks here and there of maybe some of the numbers, or like where the game starts as far as power level, but it's awesome. The idea is awesome. The mechanisms inside of it are awesome. It's really easy to learn. It's really easy to play, and I think anybody who likes any kind of take that is going to enjoy it. Not many deck builders with a take that element to it. So I think this one definitely has carved out its own niche. And that's BattleCats. Good game. Good game. Next is Stellar Leap from Weird Giraffe Games. Stellar Leap is really, really good. It encapsulates a lot of what people like about 4X games into a very tiny package. It is a dice game, so if you don't like dice, you may not like it. However, it's a dice game much like Valeria Card Kingdoms is a dice game, wherein there is a lot of mitigation. The dice that you roll interact with each other. Each player gets a unique power to mitigate the dice at the beginning of the game, and there's also a community power that anyone can use to manipulate the dice. So you're never just kind of stuck with whatever it was you rolled. They're working on balancing those powers so that they're a little bit more equal, but other than that, and maybe mining, there's almost nothing in the game that was that seemed at all out of place or wonky. Everybody develops a shared universe. There's different solar systems. Each solar system is a line of cards that are underneath a row of dice cards, 1 through 6. Different planets activate based on what the results of the dice are, and that determines what resources everybody gets. You can mine asteroids to get additional resources. You can move from planet to planet. You can expand. You can attack each other, which is a very soft form of attacking in that you just push everybody else off of the planet you're on, rather than like removing people from the board permanently. It plays really quick. Has a really clever way of ending the game in that these major galactic events happen, and those can be triggered by different things, like players upgrading their civilizations to a certain degree, or a certain number of asteroids being out on the board, or a certain number of solar systems being discovered. All of those will trigger events to happen, and you play to a certain number of events. The quick game was, I think, 4 events, and the full game will be 6 events, but even the full game will play in like an hour, when people know how to play it. It's a really clever little system. I really enjoyed it. They're already getting the artwork and stuff for it. Weird Giraffe intends to publish it themselves, much like they did with their first game, Super Hack Override. So, you know, expect to see this one coming out decently soon. They're doing blind playtesting now, as we speak, with the refinements that they got from Origins. They incorporated those, worked on the rulebook, and they're blind testing to get the rulebook nailed down. it's a really solid game, and I am really looking forward to getting a copy for myself, because I think it will fit in something the size of one of the smaller game boxes, but give me a much larger game type experience. I think it's worthy of occupying the same space as like a Tiny Epic Galaxies as far as the 4X feel of it goes. So I'm super excited about that one. Really good game. Next one that I will talk about is Sovereign Skies by Aaron Wilson. Sovereign Skies used to be a game called New Reign. He's done a little bit more tweaking on it since Unpub. I played it at Unpub and really liked it. Myself and some of my other playtesters from Cincinnati and some of the other awesome people at Unpub gave him a ton of feedback on how to refine it, and Aaron took all of that feedback and turned it into gold. As far as I'm concerned, this game is ready. Like, ready to be published. I am shocked that nobody's snatched it up yet. I think it's super solid. I think it plays really quickly and really intuitively. You know, there's a lot of room for player skill and player strategy inside of it. I really dug it. Like, it's a medium weight Euro-ish game, and lots of clever stuff. Like, each player has a rondel that they use to determine what actions they're taking, and you use those actions to settle planets, to win over people in the Senate, to get the support of various of the various planets, and to use the various actions to spread yourself across this galaxy that has had its major governmental body disintegrate. All of you are coming in to try to fill that void and take over as the new ruling class, as it were. Really good game. Really good game. Highly recommend it. If you see Aaron anywhere at a convention or at a design night or whatever, play this game. You will not be disappointed. You will not have wasted your time. I think it's totally ready for publishing like yesterday. Speaking of publishing yesterday, I got to play Ex Libris from Adam McIver. Ex Libris is being published. It's already got a contract. It's going to be coming out from Renegade. It's fan-freaking-tastic, folks. Like, this game is a worker placement tableau building game, and it manages to use the book lovers' desires against them. So, you play a private library who is working basically to become the new head of the overall library, and so you're collecting books, and all of the cards that you're collecting are a piece of shelf with a alphabetical letter and then a series of numbers underneath it, like 1 of 8 or 3 of 8, etc. Your goal is to not only build the tableau to have the best books, but you also want it to be the most stable shelving system, so you want all of your rows to be as even as possible to create the biggest rectangle. You also want everything in alphabetical order, which means that you will have to skip cards. You're going to have to just be content with having your A1 of 8 and your A7 of 8 and none of the other A's. Because otherwise you're not going to get enough cards laid down over the course of the game to have it actually give you a decent score. So you have to kind of get over the library nerd's desire to have everything perfect and exact, and that was just a treat to me, playing against my own desires. Like, it's almost like an anti-set collection game, because yes, you're collecting a set, but you kind of have to be willing to let go of getting everything. You can't catch them all. You've got to catch as much as you can, and then you've got to arrange it in a very nice way, and you've got to pay attention to which books are banned for this game, and which books are the favored books for this game, and then you have a secret type of books that your personal collection really likes that you score better than others. And then each of you have a faction, and each faction has 3 workers. 2 regular workers, which look like little gnomes, and then 1 worker that has a special ability for your faction. I was playing a faction that had the automaton, so if the automaton goes to a place where one of the other people is, then you also get to take a basic action. So your basic actions are drawing more cards to try and find those things that are missing for your collection, or to shelve cards and add them to your tableau. So he rewards everybody going to the same place. What's even cooler about this is, much like Argent the Consortium, the worker placement spots change from round to round, and they all do things in different ways. Like, some of them let you swap cards from your hand with cards on that spot, and then other people can place workers there to do the same. Some of them allow you to initiate a draft of cards. Some of them, they all do clever different methods of distributing cards or letting you put cards into your personal library tableau. And all of the factions are different. One of the factions had a fire imp that could actually burn all of the cards at one of the worker placement spots, and then draw cards based on how many they burned. One of them, the bookworm, got to eat books, and then use that knowledge to dig a little deeper for specific cards that they wanted, so you could use cards that were full of the banned books that you didn't want, or that otherwise didn't fit into your shelving system. All of the factions were unique. There were a whole bunch of factions that we didn't even play with. The snowman. One of them has a snowman, and once you put him in a worker placement area, nobody else can go to that area. That was pretty cool. So he could play Denial on some of the tastier spots, but still get the advantage for himself, just only the one time, though. Just really clever game. If you like worker placement, if you like tableau building, if you like libraries, if you like asymmetric player powers, or if you like games that don't ever let you do everything that you want to do, I think you'll like Ex Libris. It helps that the artwork and the graphic design are top-notch. Renegade always does great with that. Adam always does a great job with that. So I can't recommend that one enough. I'm hoping that it's out by Gen Con so that I can get a copy there. If it's not, I know that they're expecting for it to be out this year. It will be in my collection. I will be adding it to my curated game library. As a library aficionado and somebody who really enjoys both worker placement and tableau building, it's right up my alley. Add asymmetric player powers on top of it, and oh heck yes, it's like they were making a game for me. Anyway, that's all of the prototypes that I played at Unpub. Not a lot of game designery stuff from me in here. I guess I'll talk about that in another video, since this one's already 30 minutes long. But just know that if I played any of your games at Unpub, thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. I really enjoyed it. I hope that my feedback was valuable to you. I hope you got something out of me playing your game, regardless of what state of publication ready it was. You know, thanks for sharing with me, guys. I love playing other designers' games. It gives me ideas, it refreshes me, and it makes me feel like I'm able to contribute to other people when you guys let me enjoy your stuff and actually talk to you about it. So, thanks a lot. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video off here, and we'll do another one about my designs. If you want to hear about that, check that video out. Bearded Rogue, out.